a competitive race going through the gates. And they had me lined up with a guy, and he was a little pudgy, and I'd seen him on commercials. His name was Shatner. I'm Buzz Aldrin. And get your ass to Mars. Very privileged to have played a part in this historical event. So today, at the age of 87, my life is really better than ever, and I feel like things are really coming together. I consider myself a global space statesman. And I've been doing the very best that I can to move things forward. Now people ask me, why do we need to go to Mars? Why do we even need a space program? Because by venturing into space, we improve life for everyone here on Earth. The scientific achievements that come from space-based research create products and technology that we use in our daily lives. For example, cell phones, TV, GPS, medical advances. Many of these would not have been possible without the investments in the space program. Professor Stephen Hawking recently said, and I quote, "We have made remarkable progress in the last 100 years, but if we want to continue, our future is in space." I couldn't agree more. I won't be around to see much of it, but I want to do everything that I can to lay the groundwork. And this is why I wrote my plan for the future in my book, Mission to Mars, released in 2013. There have been some improvements, refinements since then, but it's published by National Geographic. And now I have a kid's book called Welcome to Mars, published in September 2015. And this kid's book was selected as the best science STEM book by the National Science Teachers Association, 2 years in a row. And I'm very proud of this book. I'm very proud of this because it's important, because these are the ones who will be carrying out the Mars missions. Not going to get there next week. I think we have things to get done to recover from the not really great situation we're in right now. We can't even put somebody in space up to our $100 billion space station. Now, I pride myself in thinking outside the box, leading by innovation. And in the past year, I've been involved in the creation of virtual reality content so that you can help see what it's like to stand on the surface of Mars, including a project called Destination Mars, produced by NASA, JPL, and Microsoft. And just a few weeks ago, at the South by Southwest conference, we unveiled my Cycling Pathways to Mars virtual reality experience developed by 8i on the Time Life VR application. It's a visualization of my long-term plan of a moon base and a permanent colony at Mars using cycler spacecraft and trajectories. And guess what? You lucky folks can do my VR app right here at Comic-Con. So don't miss it. It's your chance to take a journey to the moon and to Mars with me. Don't forget to get your 8-eye video with Holo Buzz. That's the name of something. It's my mini me in augmented reality. I've been planning this space transportation system of cycling pathways. Earth orbit, Earth to moon, moon orbit, then Earth to Mars. Since 1985. And now with the help of Purdue University and my Buzz Aldrin Institute at Florida Tech, I have a team that's helping me develop these concepts that I've been working on for 30 years. And I'm certainly an advocate for international cooperation in space. We can't do it all alone. Nobody can. We have to bring people together, and we can't be spending everything that other people can be doing while we plan and assemble things and make them work. And even though we landed on the moon 50 years ago, I believe we cannot ignore the moon now. And I feel the U.S. should help these other nations reach the moon and build a base to continue research and to discover the ice. The ice from the moon will create lunar fuel to refuel the landers that go up and down right from the beginning. And even though we've learned how to do that in the backyard with segmented time spans of this routine operation, when you explore on Mars, you're looking for something new. It's not routine. So you can't segment things, but you can. Something like refueling on the moon. And convince yourself that if things are similar, we can refuel a lander on Mars from the Earth. Working together will make this vision a success. And it all has the goal of a permanent settlement on Mars. That means you land and you stay there. Now, people aren't going to buy that right away. It's going to take some steps of convincing the practicality, the objectives that we're setting out for us, and together how we can achieve that. I can guarantee you, you haven't seen anything yet. Now, I figured I needed all the help I could get. So in March of last year, I visited Stonehenge, and I sent a message out to the cosmos. Back piece by piece. Now, aside from my space efforts, I still have an adventuresome spirit. I've been up to the North Pole on a Russian nuclear icebreaker and down almost 4,000 meters, about 2 miles to the ocean floor to see the Titanic and a yellow French submarine. My favorite thing to do on this planet, however, is scuba diving. And here I am on a trip in the Galapagos Islands in 2010. My son Andy took this photo of me hitching a ride on a whale shark. Now, it's not something you just out there ought to just jump in and do that at home or wherever you find it. So I finally made it to the South Pole last month to cap off my exploration experiences. It It was a little tougher than I had expected. I knew it was not sea level. It was 9,000 feet, 6,000 feet of ice. But it was all worth it. And I got the record for the oldest person to reach the South Pole. We do these things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And I plan to keep pushing boundaries as long as possible. So if you never know where I'm going to be in the world. Now, if you're interested in learning more about my vision for Mars, you can go to my website, www.buzzaldrin.com. Humanity needs to explore or expire. We need to go beyond current limits, just like we did in 1969. Apollo was the story of people at their very best. We started with a dream, and we did the impossible. I know we did it without living proof. Back with these naysayers. We've taken pictures now of the blueprints from orbit. So we know. Convinced me too. And I believe we can do it again. With a lot of help. So let's go do it again, and let's go for it. Thank you very, very much.
Some of you may see me on social media. We have some time left, so we're going to take some questions from you guys if you want. I believe there's some microphones on the edges, right there and right there. Yep. So I'm going to try to help keep Buzz on track because
I just want to say, Buzz, thank you for being such a brave man and for going where no man has gone before.
I tell you, I like to win things, and I didn't get into stuff unless I thought I could win. So I never put snow skis on until I was 50 years old. And a couple years later, I found myself in a competitive race going through the gates, and they had me lined up with a guy. And he was a little pudgy, and I'd seen him on commercials. His name was Shatner. And I figured, geez, he's putting on a lot of weight, and I'm in great shape. So this is not going to be a problem at all. And then it dawned on me that this guy's Canadian. He was born on skis.
Can I tell you the Star Trek condom joke, my friend? It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not dirt.
Is William in the audience, or is he here today?
It goes like this. You need a Star Trek condom. But I'm giving it all I can, Captain. Don't worry, they're strong. She can't take any more, so oh yes she can. It's a Star Trek condom, and Star Trek condoms stay put with their patented Klingon design. So the next time you're going where no man has gone before, get new Star Trek condoms, and you won't have to worry
Are you selling?
about the next generation.
Okay.
I'm done. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Any Klingon?
Hey, Buzz. Have you used a telescope to look back towards Tranquility Base and make sure your footprints are still there? Since you left.
No, I've looked at the photos from Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and we taped our explanations of what we did and how, while I was going back up in the ladder, Neil went back to the crater behind us, called West Crater, the one that had these big boulders in it. They weren't quite so big. But anyway, he wanted to take pictures of it. So I was going back up into the spacecraft, and he went back and then turned around and came back a slightly different way. And by gosh, you can see that in the photographs. It is not footprints, but each time you put your foot down, it sprays out dust and it changes the color, the albedo. And after 40 years, it's still there. And it agrees with what we said. So all you naysayers, forget it. We were there.
We're going to go on this side, another third lead.
Hi, I was wondering actually, what's the realistic timeline or time frame to go to Mars or colonize it? If we
Well, if we put all our something into it, we're going to go broke. It has to be done with a term that I have been cultivating. I think it's called fiscal discipline. Over the years, we have begun to do some things and develop things that some of us feel the continued development may not be the best thing. We may be able to phase out a little earlier things like the ISS. Otherwise, vested interest and congressional support are going to keep it going forever. The Orion spacecraft, with all respect to Lockheed, something was needed when we retired the orbiter, and it doesn't look like that spacecraft is going to fly with a crew in it until 10 years after, when we hoped it would be ready. And the launch system called, well, it was shuttle launch system. Then it evolved into the constellation Ares 1, Ares 5.
This may be a little detailed they don't know. Why don't you tell them in your plan when you think that we'll get to Mars? How about that?
When things aren't working, it's a good idea to know maybe why they aren't working, why someone needs to get reelected in a particular place. And I'm going to get into trouble.
No, you better let's not go down.
But if there's a swamp in Washington, D.C., there is also one in the state of Alabama.
There is. Let's not go there. But why don't you remember?
Now, I have a nice plan. We just gradually find something else for them to do. And generally, it's much better than what they've been doing, really. They're not convinced of it yet.
Well, you've written a speech for the president for the 50th anniversary of your moon landing, which is going to be in 2019. I believe. What's the speech you have? You're always writing.
This is for July 20th, 2019. I believe that this nation should commit itself within 2 decades for America to lead international crews to occupy Mars. Now, 2 decades, that seems like a long time. That's around 2040. NASA says maybe 2030s or something. We got a lot to do between now and then, and it'll be gradual progress. And I believe that the young kids born in the year 2000 will be the people who will make the first cruise to land on Mars. And we will train them at the moon, in orbit, doing the things for a short while that they will be doing in orbit, assembling things, refueling at Mars. And then we'll send them down to the surface for a short while so they really get to see what it's like living in a base that was designed to be the kind of base we would want to put on Mars. And if we've thought about it properly, it will be pretty close to that. And maybe the same nations will build certain parts of it for the moon and certain parts of it for Mars.
He could talk about this all day. So
It all makes
want to get more
sense
people
to
have a
me.
chance to ask a question. Though.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We have one of our brethren right here. He's got one of our Get Your Ass to Mars shirts on. Woo!
Yeah. Hey, I like your suspenders.
Yeah!
Got it in the same place, huh?
Yeah!
Actually, I have to take a picture of you.
Well, let him ask the question
Hold on,
first, so
hold on.
I gotta think about the answer.
Okay, thank you for buying our shirt, by the way.
Yeah.
All of our Mars shirts, just FYI, including the one he has on, is a fundraiser for Buzz's Education Foundation. So please go to sharespace.org. Okay, what's your question?
Before I ask my question, I just wanted to say I'm an astronautical engineering graduate student, and you've been a huge inspiration to me and my fellow colleagues. But if we go to Phobos before we go to Mars, would you rather have like an orbiting mothership where you can land her up and down from Phobos, or would you rather build a base on Phobos so we can use that as a stepping stone?
I've given that a lot of thought, and I know people have predicted, I was just reading it again, he sent a letter to President Trump, and he thinks we should go to Deimos and put a nuclear reactor there. And I'm not sure that he really leads to ever putting people on the surface. Now, there are a lot of things that have going for you when you get a little bit lower, like where Phobos is. It's 2.4 Mars radii away. And instead of landing on the surface, which I thought we would do and put structures down there that we could live in and track things happening on the surface, there's something in orbital mechanics that you could look up, and it caught the fancy of NASA when they didn't think President Obama's idea of sending a crew to an asteroid in 2025 and coming back. I thought for a while, where did he get that idea? And I submitted it the year before, before August 22nd. But I knew that just sending a crew there, opening the hatch, going EVA and hitting that, that's not very much. Now, if you send just a robot, well, it's 30 seconds away, and you got time lag, and it's doing different things, and it's not too productive either. But I can't understand why this great swamp in Washington, D.C., that has spaceflight people, human, and has scientists. I know they compete for funds, but at least they ought to talk to each other. And if we send a robot, slow, saving fuel, a year and a half, and it gets there 2 days after a crew that can stay there 60 days and come back, and on the crew we can have a scientist who knows everything about asteroids, and particularly this one, he's looking out the window. And we got another guy who designed, built, the robot saw it launched. And now he's looking out the window too. We got these two experts. That's a hell of a lot better than either one. Why don't we put them together?
Okay, but we want to learn about
ask
Phobos.
Congress to understand that. They don't quite get the idea.
If you want to know what he wants to do at Phobos, though, go do our virtual reality. The thing he was talking about, it's across the street. Everybody can go to the 8i booth and do the cycling pathways to Mars, and it'll show you what's going on at Phobos and his plan. Let's get this young lady right here.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little faster, right?
I know, you're using up all your time. You've got 10 minutes. All right, let's go.
After that inspirational speech, I feel really awkward asking this question, but how did you and Neil Armstrong decide who would walk on the moon first? Like, was there a rock, paper, scissors competition going on?
There's a pecking order. There's something called seniority. I was the oldest, but that's not what I mean. Neil was in the second group, I was in the third group with Mike. But Neil was a fantastic test pilot. Now, all the missions before, when I opened the hatch and one guy went out, was never the commander, because he had many things to train to do. And going to the moon, he's the one that's landing and he's the one that's lifting off. So there was a group of people who were involved in experiment works who said, well, we put too much of a workload on the commander. This ought to be done by the junior person, the co-pilot. Well, you can do both if you think about it, but we never, I mean, the symbolism and the media, who's going to get out first, what's he going to say? And it really screws things up when you're trying to reach correct decisions. Absolutely no doubt, the senior person symbolically should do the thing that is symbolic. And he did that. And then we got outside. But he's a leader and I'm a follower. It was not specified who was doing this and that. So we could have worked it out a little bit better, but that's why we do things and we debrief afterward and we come up with better solutions. The way it was done was correct, absolutely. I've looked at the camera that I turned on out the window and I saw Neil getting his contingency sample. And I thought, now what would it have been like if the commander had been looking out his window and I was out there doing that stuff? That would just not have worked at all. It was not right. What we did was absolutely correct, but we need discussions and debates. And sometimes the pressure of, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? When he gets out there, it becomes a bit too much. It takes things out of perspective. Sorry, but I felt I had to say that.
I think that was a good story. Thank you. This next guy, he looks like he could practice medicine or something the way he's dressed. All right, go ahead.
I'm ready to join the team. So you've been an inspiration to me directly, but even before that, it was indirectly. So I have to ask, how did you get your name? What does it mean? And how do you feel knowing that Pixar named Buzz Lightyear after you?
Didn't we allow just one question per person?
Okay.
You want me to say it so it goes quickly?
I have two older sisters, and I come along, and my father's Edwin Eugene Aldrin. I'm Edwin Eugene Aldrin Jr. They didn't want a junior, and the Air Corps people called my father Eddie. My mother hated that, so she called him Gene, and everybody in the family called my father Gene. So they hadn't given it all that much thought. And so my older sister was occasionally teasing her baby brother. She couldn't pronounce brother. It was Buzzer. That's absurd, isn't it? Believe it or not, I ran into another guy who had the same name of Buzz, and he got it the same way.
You've been Buzz your whole life.
Now this Toy Story business, I had to teach that dummy everything he had to learn. And then we came back and we gave him a parade.
Yeah, you did do it. He did do a ticker tape parade with him at Disney World.
I hate to go into the details, but...
No, don't go into details.
No.
You got 3 minutes. 3 minutes for questions.
Okay.
So let's take another question.
Hi. Do you think that the search for extraterrestrial life will be fruitful, or do you think that colonizing our solar system is the only way to guarantee that life stays existent in our galaxy?
Well, to the answer of your first question, the answer can be yes, we'll find it, or no, we won't. And I think both answers are ones we're looking for, one or the other. And will we find that close by? The universe is enormous, and speed of light just doesn't get you very far if you can travel that fast. Now, I got friends that think we'll be traveling by high-frequency gravity waves. I don't understand that. I'm not sure that he does, but it may be that the influence of gravity is faster than the speed of light. I don't know that. And Einstein isn't around anymore.
No, but you did say
But
you're
whatever speed we go, there's so much out there, we may find some evidence, but not in the physical way. They're so far away that we may communicate in some way. What language? I don't know.
We got 2 more minutes, so let's try to do 2 more quick.
You've been my inspiration as an astronomer and an astrophysicist ever since I was a little boy looking up at the moon thinking, Mr. Buzz went there, I want to as well. My question to you, good sir, is there anything on this Earth that you've experienced that compares to what you felt getting off that lunar module?
Stepping off? Well, I mean, that was intellectually a significant achievement, but it's been done before. This is what's important, the intellectual part of what it is you're doing and what you're looking at, and you're looking at something that you couldn't see anywhere on Earth, really, and that changed in millions of years. You know, that's something to realize.
He's always trying. That's why he's been all over the world. So I would say that whale shark photo, I think he's almost more proud of that than he is of walking on the moon. I'm not kidding. If we had time, we could explain it, but let's take another question, and then we're out of time, it looks like. So quick.
All right, thank you. If you had one piece of advice for the big private space companies, Blue Origin, SpaceX, as far as moving forward, getting to Mars, what piece of advice would you give to them?
Work together, and work together with organizations that represent people. We're going to be discussing that a little bit. Is it government, or is it individuals who have acquired the ability to do things? There are things wrong with both extremes. The solution is in between, and I just can't imagine a worldly enterprise being carried out by organizations of people here that somehow turn over the keys to the future to one fortunate person who has been able to do fantastic things in their life. But I just don't think that those people really want it that way. I think that they want to work together, and it's something that is going to have to be worked out, just like a lot of things. They're great inspiration. They fit into plans very nicely. And big companies that have been around for a long time, they fit in too. Sometimes they want it all, and they got somebody in Congress that'll help that happen, and that's called a lobbyist.
Okay.
And,
all right, we're out of time.
they're parts of the swamp.